So we have seen how to inherit class, right? So we have seen yesterday like single level, multi-level, and even I said you about multiple inheritance. I said even multiple inheritance here. Single level, multi-level, and even we have seen multiple inheritance. So let us talk about so this is method. Let us talk about method overriding. Okay, so there is a concept called here method overriding. So what is method overriding and what is the need of method overriding here? So we just try to learn this. Okay, so what is method overriding? So what is method overriding is it's very simple, like the redefining of base class object level method within derived class is called method overriding. Okay, redefining of base class object level method. Redefining of base class object level method within derived class is called method overriding. Or you can say defining method inside derived class with same name as method exist in base class. Exist in base class is called event method overriding. So defining method inside derived class with same name as method exist in base class is also called what here? Method overriding. So what method overriding allows is method overriding allows to modify or extend functionality of base class method within derived class. So what method overriding allows is method overriding allows modifying or extending functionality of base class method within derived class. So that you can call it as method overriding. What is the meaning of this is, for example, so child inherits the properties of what? Parent. So there is a class A. Class A is there. Within class A, there is M1 method. So this is M1 of A class. So there is another method called M2. So two methods are there in A class, M2 of A class. So class A having how many methods here? Two methods. So that is M1 method, and there's one more method called M2 method. So there's a class B inherits which class here? A class. So class A is there and class B inherits which class here? A class. And class B is having another method called M3. So M3 of which class here? B class. But here M1, M2 methods of A class, M1, M2 methods of A class are inherited in which class? B class. Now, how many methods are there in B class? Three methods. So it is inherit M1, M2 from A into B, and B is also have his own method. So total three methods are there. But in derived class, you are writing another method. You are writing a method in derived class. In derived class, you are writing a method with the same name, same name and number of arguments. A method of which class? Base class. It means what you are trying to do is this M1 method is inherited here. M1 method of A class is inherited in which class? B class. But that method you are modifying here. Which method you are modifying? M1 method of base class you are modifying in the derived class. But how you are modifying it? By writing again. So this you call it as which method? This is called which method? Overriding method. And this you can call it as which method? Overridden method. This method is called overridden method. Overridden method. And this is called which method? Overriding method. Okay, so M1 of A class is inherited in B class and it is redefined. Okay, so it means this method, this M1 method of A class, M1 method of A class, you are modifying in which class? B class. M1 method of A class, you are modifying in which class? B class. So here you are writing print. This is which method here? Overriding method. This is called overriding method. So this method is called which method? Overriding method. Okay, so this M1 is redefined here, but M2 of A class is inherited as it is. As it is in which class? B class. Is it this method is modified in B class? No. But which method is modified in B class? M1 method. Why you modify? Because you want to add some more new features. You want to add some more new features of base class method within derived class. Then you try to use what here? Overriding. Or if you want to provide different implementation of so if child class want to have, if child class or derived class wants to have different implementation of base class method. Base class method we use what here? Method. We use what method? Override. So if you want to have a different implementation of base class method in derived class, you are using what method? Overriding. So method overriding. So overriding method must have same name and number of arguments. Same name, number of arguments, same name, comma number of arguments, and types of arguments. Number of arguments and types of arguments of method exist in base class. Overriding method must have same name, number of arguments, and types of arguments like keyword arguments, variable length arguments. Okay, base class method is having keyword arguments. In derived class also you have to write with the same arguments. So overriding method must have the same name, number of arguments, and the types of arguments. A method exists in which class? Base class. So this rule you have to follow. For example, so this is extending functionality. It means child inherits the behavior of parent. Suppose, okay, assume that. So there is a class called some parent is a class. So parent is having a functionality called eat. Eat is a functionality of what here? Parent. So parent eat what is this? Non-veg, right? Now there is a class. There is a class called child. Child inherits from what here? Parent. Okay, child eat. It means child inherit. Child inherit the same behavior of. Okay, child inherit the same behavior of parent. Means what child eat? The same thing which is eat by whom? Parent. If I say child eat, so eat is behavior inherited from which class? Parent class. So it means child eat what here? Non-veg. Because a parent also eat which one? Non-veg. Child also eats what? Non-veg. But okay, child inherits the behavior of what? Parent. But within the child, this eat is redefined. This eat is what here redefined. And the child is eat which one? Which. So it means this functionality is modified here. Okay, this eat behavior of parent is modified in what? Child. But eat is inherited from which one? Parent. But is it eat same like a parent? No, it is modified. But eat is a method of which one? Parent. But it is redefined in which one? Child. So this is overriding method. This method is called what here? Overriding method. Okay, this method is called overriding method. And this method is called the base class method is called which method here? Overridden method. So there is a overriding method and there is a overridden method. So that is a class parent and there is a class what is that? Child. Suppose so every class, for example, if you are talking about one class here, there's one class. Okay, there is one class called what is that class here? Object class. Okay, there is one class. And what is that class is here? Object class. So this is what I'm talking about is. So here I'm writing this is M1 of which class here? A class. This is M2 of which class here? A class. So yeah, this is M3 of which class here? B class. So this is overriding method. So this is overriding method. So objb dot m1, objb dot m2, and objb dot m3. So once you run this, now you can see overriding method, M2 of A and M3 of what? B. Suppose if I don't write this, so will it inherit same method as it is or not? Yes. So if I don't write this, I can see M1 of A, M2 of A, and M3 of what here? B. So is it M1 method of A is inherited as it is here? But if I override, this M1 is inherited here, but it is modified. So this M1 is not belongs to A. This M1 is belongs to what? B. It is modified in what? Yes. Against the overriding method, M2 of A and M3 of what? B. For example, there is one class. So this allows you to, like this is what will happen when you work with the frameworks. When you are working with the frameworks will provide some abstracts. If you are working with the frameworks, right? Frameworks will provide certain abstracts. It will provide some abstracts. So abstracts are nothing but some rules and regulations. So frameworks will provide some abstracts, right? Abstracts. So using that abstracts, okay, using that abstracts, you'll try to develop. Suppose if you are working with some Django or Flask, okay, suppose in Django, there is a model. How to develop a model means they give one class. You develop a class model by inheriting model class. You develop a model class by inheriting model class. You develop a view by inheriting view class. You develop a template by inheriting template class. So how to develop a model, view, and template that is given by what framework? You just inherit and then override all the functions according to your logic. According to your logic, right? So that is how this abstracts will work. And that is how overriding is. For example, there is an object class. So object is a base class for all the classes. Okay, object is a base class. Object is a base class for all the classes, in Python. So any class you write in Python that will automatically, any class you write in Python. Suppose I write one class A. Any class you write in Python. So this class automatically inherits. Any class you write in Python, this class automatically inherits another class. What is it? Another class it inherits is object class. So any class you write it, any class you write in Python that will inherits which class here? Object class. Means every class in Python is a object. So it is having some number of methods. This is having methods. And these methods are used to manage these objects by the Python virtual machine. So whatever methods are there in object class, all these methods are inherited in your class. The methods which are there in object class are called magic methods. The methods which are there in object class are called magic methods. So these methods are prefix and suffix with, okay, prefix and suffix with what? Double underscore. So the methods what you have in object class are called magic methods. And these methods are prefix and suffix with what? Underscore. Now you try to use these methods to perform certain operation here. I didn't get what is your question. I didn't get the question. Question I didn't understand. So every class you write in Python inherit automatically the methods of which class? Object class. So these methods are used to manage this particular object. So in this you write your own attributes or properties or variables. You write your own variables. You write your own variables and what? Methods. Apart from the methods which are there in which class? Object class. Apart from the methods which are there in which class? Object class. For example, so the methods of object class, the methods of object class are used to manage, what is it? Objects. The methods of the methods of object class. So the methods of object class are used to manage which one? Objects. For example, if I create one object, like suppose I create a list object. I create a list object with some values here. So when I print list one, so list one is list one is printed with how many values? 10 values. So that is from 10 to 100. So how many values it is printed? It is printed how many values here? 10. In the same way, I develop my own class called student. So there is a class called student. Okay, there is a class called which one here? Student, roll number, name. Okay, self dot roll number is 101. Self dot name. Oh, sorry. Self dot roll number is R. Self dot name equal to N. So what is my data type here? Student. So list is a predefined data type and student is a user defined. So I create a student one by giving student roll number and name. Student roll number and name. So what will happen if I print student one? So if I print list one, is it displayed the content of the list or not? Yes. But if I print student one, is it displayed the content of the student? No. It is displayed what here? Address. It is displayed what here? Address. But it is not displayed the content of the list, but rather than it is displayed what here? Address. But I don't want the address. I want to print which one? Data. I want to get the data of the student object. It means whenever you say print, what print is doing? Okay, it is converting whatever you are sending to the print into string. Actually, print always it will print the data in which format? String format. So it will convert this stud1 into what? String. But how it will convert it? Okay, suppose when you're writing your print stud1 internally, it will call one method called str. Internal, it will call one method called what? Str. But is it str method is there in student class? No. Str method is not there in student class here. Is it str method is there in student class? No. But for student class, which one is a base class? For student class, which one is a base class? Object is a base class. For student class, which one is a base class? Object is a base class. For student class, okay. So it is calling str method. But is it str there in the student class? No. But for student class, which one is a base class? Object is a base class. You are not inherited anything. It is automatically inherited. So every class will inherit automatically which class? Object class. So this will call str method of which class? Object class. So that str method of object class, what it is returning? Address. Str of object class, what it is returning? Address. But I don't want address. I don't want what? Address. That str method should not return address. I want it should return the values of the object. I don't want it should return the address. I want it should return the values of the object. Then what do you do it? Override. If you don't want the same implementation, if you want different implementation, what do you do it? Override. If you want to modify any method of base class in the derived class, you want to modify it, then you modify it using which one? Overriding. You modify it using which one? Overriding. Okay, you modify it by using what here? Overriding. So that is what will happen. Suppose, assume that you write a class called some employee. So employee class, which one is a base class? Okay, are you inherited any class here? No. Are you inherited any class here? No, not inherited any class. But for this class, which one is a base class? Object is a base class. For this class, which one is a base class? Object is a base class. This is having employee number. This is having what here? Employee name. So there is a str method. I override str. So why now this is overriding method. This is which method here? Overriding method. But where is this method? Where is this str method? This str method is there. What is the base class of this employee class? Object class. So object is a base class. Object is a base class for which class? Employee class. But you are not inherited, but is inherited by whom? Python. Python inherits it. Now, str method. Then what I'm doing, I'm trying to say return str of self dot employee number. I do concatenation, or I can format it otherwise. I can format and return as a string. Okay, self dot, what I'm saying here, employee number, comma, self dot, what I'm saying here, employee name. Self dot employee number and self dot employee name. So what will happen if I create? So employee 1 equal to employee with employee number 101 and name is Naresh. So what will happen if I print employee? See what will happen when I print employee here. So when I run this, is it print the address or value? Value. Suppose if I don't write this, if I don't write this, okay, if I don't write this, how this object is printed by calling which method? Internally, it will call which method? str method. Internally, it calls which method? str method. Okay, internally it calls which method? str method. It calls a str method of which class? Employee class. But is it str method is there in employee class? No. But for employee class, which one is base class? Object. But is it str method is there in object class? Yes. But what it returns? Address. What it return? Address. So now this time it is written which one? Address. But you want address or value? Value. Then what do you do it? Modify. What do you do it? Modify. What do you do it? Modify by overriding which method? str method. Override it. When you override it, if you want to modify, if you want to extend it, now you want both value as well as address. You want value as well as what? Address. Then comma, I can call super dot, which method I'm calling? str method. So it will call str method of which class? Super class. What is a super class here? Object. So you get both. So there is a values and there is also what here? Address. But you don't want that. You want only values. Then don't include the functionality of superclass. Now 101 and what is that? Address. So always you do overriding. Okay, always you do overriding to extend the functionality of the base class method. To extend the functionality of the base class method within, to extend the functionality of the base class method within derived class. To extend the functionality of the base class method within derived class, right? Okay, so for example, now this is overriding. Overriding which method? str method. This is overriding. Overriding str method of. Overriding str method of which class? Object class. So here str method of object class. So return what it returns? It returns what? Address of object. So by default implementation of str method is return the address of object. But if you want to return value, what you did? Override. So this method is called automatically whenever object is converted into string using str method, using str function. Okay. So this method will be called, or whenever we print object, print object using print function. So print function internally calls str method. Internally it calls which method? Str method. So this method is override actually. This method is this method is override to return state of the object. A string representation of which one? Object. String representation of object or the state of the object. Now for that, you are overriding which method? str. But here you override which method? Object class method. You can also write your own methods and override. You can also write your own methods and override. Suppose there is a class employee. So employee is having some methods like employee is having employee number, employee is having employee name, right? Employee is having read. So read is a method of what? Employee. Employee is having a read. Okay, now read is a method of what? Employee. So what it will read? Suppose read emp, something like this. What it reads? The employee number. So I have to enter employee number. So you have to input what here? Employee name. You have to input employee number. You have to input employee number. And you have to input what here? Employee name. So you have to input two things here. One is number. So one is employee number. The other one is what here? Name. Okay, now this is a method called read employee. So there is one more method called print employee. So this will print. So what it prints is employee number. So what it will print is employee name. So self dot employee number and self dot employee name. So this is a method called read employee and this is a method called print employee. A read employee is there and print employees that prints employee number, self dot employee number, and it prints employee name, that is self dot employee name, right? So there is an employee called there is an employee called salaried employee. Okay, see here, salaried employee inherits which one here? Employee. Salaried employee inherited from employee class. So what salaried employee is having? Salaried employee is having employee number. Salaried employee is having employee number. So it inherits the properties of which class? Employee class. My salaried employee is having employee number as well as what? Name. Employee number, name, and also having which one here? Salary. So salaried employee is having. So what salaried employee is having is, so salaried employee is having employee number, salaried employee. Suppose once you create employee object, if you write here employee 1 equal to employee 1 equal to salaried employee, it will create salaried employee object. It will create salaried employee object by calling the constructor, and this constructor holds the address of which object? Employee object. And this will call the init method of which class? Superclass. And this refers to which object? Employee object. And allocates, okay, memory for this employee number and allocates memory for what here? Name. So after executing the init method of base class, it will return to the derived class and then allocates memory for which one? Salary. So employee is having how many properties here? 3. So that is a number, name, and one more is what? Salary. Suppose I want to read the details of employees. I'll say read employee. When I say read employee, it look for read employee method in which class? Salaried employee. Is it read employee method is there? No. Then it calls a read employee method of which class? Base class. And this read employee method reads how many values? 2 values. So that is employee number and name. But I want the same method should also read which one? Salary. Then what do you do it? Override. What do you do it here? Override. Override this read employee here by including the features of which class? Superclass. And adding one new feature. What is a new feature? Reading salary. New feature you added. That new feature is nothing but reading salary. Now suppose read employee. Now this is which method? This is which method here? Overriding method. Why we are overriding here method? Because the read employee method of base class reads only number and name. But I want it should also read salary. Then I add new features, including the features of which class? Base class. So this overriding method is calling which method? Overridden method. Means it calls a overridden method, means it reads number and name, and at the same time it should also read which one? Salary. So float of input, what is this here? Salary. So overriding method having the features of which method? Overridden method. We called base class method within the derived class. And at the same time, now print employee also I'm overriding. So this is also which method? Overriding method. And this method include the features of which class here? Base class. Base class or super class, parent class. So it will call print EMP of which class? Super class. So that will print number and name, and it is having one new feature. And what is a new feature it is having? Salary. Self dot salary. So there is a EMP1. So I create employee 1. He is which employee? Salaried employee. Employee 1 dot read employee. Employee 1 dot read employee, and employee 1 dot print employee. Okay, employee 1 dot read employee, and employee 1 dot print employee. Okay. Okay, so just remember this. How this will work here exactly. How this will work exactly here. So that is also important, right? Okay, so it is like this. Overriding always allows you to modify functionality of base class. Now you can see This is the name of the employee, and this is what here salary, right? But in this case, we modified this function here, and even we include the features of base class, and we modified this function here, and we also include the features of this particular method. So yeah, this is how you work with the overriding. This is how you work with the overriding. So it can be predefined methods, the methods which are there in predefined classes. Even you can override and you can build your own class, and even you can override the methods. So when it comes to overriding, now this overriding is also done by using another concept which is called as abstract base classes or abstract classes, and one more is what here abstract methods. Abstract classes and abstract methods. So abstract classes and abstract methods. Abstract. What is abstracts here is abstract defines some set of rules and regulations, right? How to develop a class, how to build a class, how to build a class. Now that you define in the form of which classes? Abstract classes. How to build employee, how to build animal, how to build animal, how to develop employee, how to develop model, how to develop view, how to develop house. House is abstract. Using abstract house, you develop number of houses. But what house abstract define? Set of rules and regulations. You follow that rules and build a number of houses. You want to build animal. You don't know how to build animal. You take the abstracts called animal and use those methods and provide all the things related with what? Animals. So abstract classes and abstract methods. Abstract class. You can write abstract methods only inside which class? Abstract class. You cannot write an abstract methods in normal class. You write always the abstract methods. In which class here? Abstract class. So to work with, so to work with, to work with, to work with abstract classes and abstract methods, abstract classes and abstract methods. So Python provides a predefined module, a predefined module called which one? ABC. What is the name of the module? ABC. ABC means abstract what? Base class. So it will provide one predefined module. What is the name of the module here? ABC module. So this module comes with the Python software. So this module comes with what is this here? Python software. This module comes with the Python software. To work with abstract classes and abstract methods, Python provides a predefined module called ABC. ABC stands for abstract base class. And this module comes with the Python software. So to work with abstract classes and abstract methods. So first one is, what is abstract method? So abstract means some set of rules and regulations. What is abstract? Abstract means protocol. Abstract can be called as again protocol, which has to be followed by every derived class. Which has to be followed by every derived class. So abstract method is a method without implementation. Without implementation or without body. A method without implementation. That method doesn't have implementation. That method doesn't have any implementation. That method doesn't have any implementation. That abstract method is an empty method. Abstract method is an empty method. It defines a protocol which has to be followed by which has to be followed by which has to be followed by every which class? Derived class. Every derived class. So abstract define only rules. And this rules has to be implemented by which classes? Derived classes. This rules has to be implemented by which classes? Derived classes. It's like this. For example, okay, it is like this. For example, there's a class. So there is a class. What is this class here? Animal. Animal is abstract. Animal is what here? Abstract. You'll say, okay, animal. I'm saying what are the functions of animal? I just write animal eat. I'm saying abstracts. I'm defining abstract, saying that what is animal? What are the functions of animal? Animal eat. Animal eat. But what it eat? You don't define it. You'll say animal eat. But what it eat, that might be various from one animal to another. So animal sleep. So that might be various from one animal to what? Another animal. So you're not writing the implementation. This method is what here? Empty. This method is what here? Empty. The method which is empty is called which method? The method which is empty is called which method? Abstract method. So you declare abstract method with a decorator called which one? Abstract method. So this is abstracts. You're telling that okay, animal is a animal eat, animal what? Sleep. Now you want to develop animal. I want to develop animal called dog. How I develop animal dog? By inheriting the things from which one? Animal. Then here I'll write what dog eat. Okay, what dog eat? What dog eat? Dog eat some non-veg like this. So here I'll provide the implementation and I'll say dog sleep. Okay, dog sleep. Okay, so dog sleep. Okay, sleep in daytime. Sleep in what is that? Daytime, like that. Okay, it means I'm trying to follow the rules of which one? Animal, and developing which animal here? Dog. I'm following the rules of animal and developing which one? Animal. Okay, animal. Dog is a animal, right? In the same way, suppose there is a class. Cow is an animal. Cow is a animal. So cow eat. So I'll say cow eat. Now you're providing implementations of all the things. Now cow eat. What is that? Veg. And cow sleep. Okay, cow sleep. Okay, and cow sleep in which one? Some night time. Like this. Now I'm trying to provide different implementations. But how to develop animal? Now this you call it as which one? Abstracts. This is called as an abstract. And these abstracts are followed and develop different types of animals. Now dog is animal. Cow is also what here? Animal. Now this is which class now? This is which class here? Abstract base class. You cannot create animal. You cannot create object of animal. I cannot say A equal to animal. There is no animal. You don't find animal. You find a dog. You find a cat. All these are which type of animals. But you don't find animal. Is it any animal? No. There is a dog animal. There is a cow animal. There is a cat animal. Animal is only abstract. All the animals inherit the properties and behavior of which one? Animal. So you cannot create animal object because this is which one here? Abstract. So you cannot create object of animal, but you can create object of a dog. You can create object of which one? Cow, like that. But you cannot create object of a animal because animal is what here? Abstract. Animal is a abstract. So if you want to declare a method as an abstract method, so to declare abstract method is defined only in abstract class. Abstract method is defined only inside which class? Abstract class. And what is the syntax of writing abstract method is you are using a decorator called which one? Abstract method. And definition, you are writing method name and self because abstract method is object level and it followed by some arguments. But is it abstract method is having any implementation? No. You write what here? Pass. You write a pass because abstract method doesn't have any implementation. So abstract method is a decorator, and where this decorator is there, in which module this decorator is there, in which module? ABC module. It is there in ABC module. So what is abstract class now? What is abstract class? So what is abstract class here? A class which inherits, or you can say abstract class is a collection of, abstract class is a collection of what? Abstract methods. Abstract methods and non-abstract methods. It is having abstract methods and non-abstract methods. So abstract class is called abstract data type. Abstract data type, a data type which allows to build, similar data types. Similar data types is called abstract data type. Okay, abstract class is inherited. Abstract class is inherited. You can inherit it, but not used for creating, what? Object. So abstract class define set of rules and what? Regulations which has to be followed by every which class? Derived class, or what is that? Subclass. So what is the syntax of writing an abstract class? So if you want to declare or if you want to create an abstract class, the abstract class must inherit. So class and it followed by what here? Class name and ABC dot ABC. So in this you declare variables, you declare methods. So here ABC is a module, and ABC is what here? Class. So any class which inherits ABC class is called what? Abstract. Is called which one? Abstract base class. If a class is inherited from ABC class, if the class is inherited from ABC class, then you call that class as an abstract base class. Then you call that class as which one? Abstract base class. Any class which is inherited from ABC class, then it is called as an abstract base class. Okay, right? So we'll see like how to work with this abstract classes and abstract methods. And the advantage of using abstract classes and abstract methods is to achieve runtime polymorphism. To achieve which one? Polymorphism. We'll discuss that, like how you achieve polymorphism by using abstract classes and abstract methods. But in the next class, that is on Monday, we'll see this, right? So today we'll stop it here and Monday we'll continue this. Okay. Thank you.